instructions, I'm Bob.
And I am Josh.
Welcome back.
Hello, friends.
How was your trip? You're back from your vacation.
It was really good. It was really good.
Cool. All right. Well, what's next?
The
Just
end.
kidding. Tell us about the trip. How'd it go?
Well, starting with like the airport during COVID times
Oh, yeah.
was surprisingly exactly like the airport in the non-before COVID times.
How busy was it?
Pretty.
Okay.
Yeah. We flew out of Nashville because it was cheaper. And it seemed... Oh, okay. Everything seemed on par with normal airport operations except for the airline that we chose. We flew Spirit, which is a budget airline.
I've never been on Spirit before.
I do not recommend Spirit Airlines. This is my anti-endorsement for Spirit Airlines. Not because I felt unsafe on the plane, not because they're like, ooh, they're a budget, so they nickel and dime you. Yeah, I get that. I understand that whenever I sign up for a budget airline. Not just a clever name. The problem that I have with them, which I think is a silly one if I were on the board of directors, is that their user experience before you get to the airport is abysmal. It is absolute garbage. They have an app, they have an online website that you have to pretty much do everything yourself because it's a budget airline. And it sucks. It sucks so bad. You get to the airport and you go to the kiosks, and the kiosks don't work. The kiosks print out your luggage tag, you put on your own luggage tags, you do literally everything except hand your bag to a person. And that whole process, while I get it, you should automate it. If you automate it, that means you don't have to hire a whole bunch of employees. You don't have to pay them health care. I get that. Then put your effort there. If I have to do it myself, then make that the easiest thing that I have to do so that by the time I get to the airport, it doesn't matter if I'm whining because I'm already at the airport. My problem was their user experience, and their app and their website was just garbage. And it was so frustrating. But it all worked out. Whole family got on a plane. My two little kids, it was the first time that they can remember ever being on a plane. And so they sat with me, and I was a crew member in the Army. I love airports. I love airplanes. I love all things that fly. So I got to explain all the stuff to them, and they were like super intrigued. And when we lined up on the runway, I was like, well, this is a taxiway, and this is a this, and we have to go here. And as soon as we got on the runway, I'm like, now there's a radio that you can't hear that I really wish I could hear when I was on planes, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm like, as soon as we line up, you guys have to yell, punch it, Chewie, and then the airplane's going to gun it, and then we're going to fly. It's going to be great. And we were surrounded by some like fun people, and they all yelled, punch it, Chewie, and then the lady behind us yelled it together with them. And then boom, we took off, and like my middle son, who is my sweet boy, but he's very timid, he loved it. Thought it was so cool. And we played Game Boy the whole time, and ended up in Orlando, and we had a good time with family down there. Last time we spoke, we talked about like the contentiousness of the plans and trying to plan time together. Like
Right.
That was really a non-issue. We hung out for the day, and everybody had a great time. And then the next day, my wife and I flew down to St. Thomas out of the Orlando airport with Spirit Airlines, and it was a worse experience than the previous one.
Oh, that's fun.
Like, as a systems engineer, like it triggers this internal thing inside me that's like, this does not need to be this way if you put forth some effort. And it was lawless anarchy in that airport. We pulled up, and I'm getting my bags out, and a lady is being arrested. And she's like handcuffed to a chair, like the dude from Silence of the Lambs.
It wasn't lawless then if she was being arrested.
Okay, well, the law got that one person.
Okay.
She was freaking out, screaming at people. It was crazy. And I'm like, oh, man, that's unfortunate. And then the doors part, and we walk in, and there's just packed people. Like, oh, no, it's COVID, and that's bad. Like, this is bad for every rave you've ever been to, for every concert you've ever been to. It was a mosh pit of people with luggage. Angry people. And I just like, oh, God. And I want to, like, take control of the situation and start, like, expoing at a restaurant. Like, you go this way, you go this way. And none of that was happening because they have, like, 4 employees. And we waited in this line just to check bags. And then people are screaming because apparently TSA, the line to check into normal TSA was an hour and a half long.
Ooh.
Which made people miss their flights. So not only were we trying to get up to their garbage kiosk thing to print out our stuff and then hand our bags to a person, in this massive horde of people were angry people who missed their flight just because the TSA needed to be rebooked. So it was pandemonium. And then we've all traveled together, the three of us, me and you and Anthony. The practice of, this may be a nice little FYI for people in the world, I have a known travel number, a TSA pre-check number. So do you.
Yes.
It happened in the past that whenever you booked tickets with your TSA pre-check number, everybody that you booked tickets for also got a TSA pre-check number.
Right.
That is no longer the case.
What?
Yeah. No longer the case.
That doesn't make any sense.
So in this line that is an hour and a half long to get to TSA, I look at the pre-check. I'm like, oh, there's like 2 people in the pre-check line. I'm like, nothing. I just got to hand this bag off, which I'll be patient with. I'm super kind to people at the airport because I know it's the most strenuous and angry place on the planet. I don't have TSA pre-check on my ticket, and neither does my wife. We're like, oh, this is wrong. So we finally get up there. It turned out she put my birthday in wrong. It was a tiny mistake, but she doesn't get it. Our entire trip, she does not get TSA pre-check. My kids do, but my wife does not.
Is that only because it wasn't on there when they were booked?
No, it was there when it was booked. And the TSA guy was like, yeah, that doesn't always happen. Like, okay. That would have been good to know because it's happened every other time. And this is my irritation with the TSA is they can randomly change stuff. And
that's your
it's your fault. But so she paid for Clear. Have you seen Clear?
I have seen it at the airport, yeah.
Yeah, so we walked, after the whole bag thing, we walked right up to Clear. And the guy's like, oh, hello. How can I? I'm like, no. Hush up. Get her through this thing as fast as humanly possible. This is the easiest sell you've ever had. And they were like, okie dokie. And this dude flew through the little touchscreen kiosk thing. They have to like scan her eyes and do this whole deal. And they had a thing where you could get a month for free, which we were traveling within the same month. So I'm like, okay, we'll pay the $170. Or you don't even pay $170. You sign up thinking you're going to pay $170. And if you cancel within the month, it was just free.
Really?
Yeah, so she sailed right through. Then leaving St. Thomas, they didn't have that. So she had to go through the longer line. And I got to go through pre-check. Because I guess I'm selfish and I don't want to take my shoes off. That's just dumb. But the trip itself was fine. St. Thomas was beautiful. It was kind of insane because they drive on the left-hand side of the road with a left-hand drive car. Mm-hmm. And you're driving up and immediately down a mountain. It's like driving on a roller coaster. It was crazy, but it was absolutely beautiful. We had a great time. I encountered a lobster. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen the whole thing. I encountered one. I did not have gloves, so I had to go back to our Airbnb, and I put socks on my hands like an insane person. And then I tried to go catch it, and I was timid. I hesitated, and the lobster took advantage of my hesitation, hid deep into a sea urchin-filled little cavern, and I could not get him or her. I couldn't tell.
So I have no experience with lobster at all. So would socks actually, like, how does that help?
They are spiny lobsters. So it's just, I didn't want to grab the spiny lobster, which I knew was going to freak out with my bare hands.
But I mean, is a sock thick enough to like actually protect the skin at all, or was it just
I had no idea.
Better than nothing?
It was, I have no gloves. Gotcha. So what do I have? I'm like, I got some socks. So
cool.
This is how MacGyver would attempt to catch a lobster in the
wrap his hands in duct tape.
Ooh, I didn't think about that.
Yep.
But we tried the tickle stick thing. There was like a stick-looking thing growing out of the ground in this beautiful reef. So I went underwater and ripped it up. Tried to tickle the lobster out, and it came out a little bit. And then I tried to grab at him, and he went back into the thing. Ultimately, I was vexed by this lobster. He ruined the day. So good at you. He won. He gets to live another day. I know what I did wrong this time. So if I was ever put in that situation again, I think I could do a little better. But anybody who's went hunting, it's not an exact science. I mean, they're live creatures that have defense mechanisms just like anything. They're not manatees. I'm pretty sure you could kill a manatee pretty easily.
Or like a sloth.
Yeah, I'm not advocating manatee hunting, but I imagine it would be.
That's illegal.
Well, it would probably be illegal because it's easy because they're just
Yeah.
big dumb things. Actually, I have no idea the intelligence level of a manatee.
Yeah,
but
maybe it's super smart and just slow.
that's how they get you. They're like, okay, everybody, at the conference. They're like, we have to be cute.
If you move slow, they think you're dumb.
Yeah.
And then they won't mess with you. So how was Disney?
Disney was awesome. All of the last episode we talked about pre-planning with food and with all that stuff. It worked perfectly. So perfectly. It was actually kind of funny because the night before I was talking to my father-in-law and my wife's stepmom about like the Rise of Resistance thing. You have to get on, and at 6:59 you got to refresh the app and like be lightning fast to join and get a boarding group. I did. I was so happy. And then we were talking about food, and I had talked to my wife. We had an argument about it again. And so we're in the kitchen of my father-in-law's house. And I'm like, okay, so you guys, I've talked about food before. Do you guys know where you're getting food? And Tiff's stepmom was like, I'll just eat whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm like, and Tiff's like, oh no, that's not how any of this works. I'm like, yeah. So she was on board with my idea. And they're like, oh, well, we'll just find something. I'm like, I am literally ordering food right now. At 7 o'clock in the morning to be picked up at lunchtime at these two places because I did the legwork. I know exactly what I want. I know what I'm getting. They're like, oh, we have to order it now? I'm like, you should, because you're not going to get anything to eat. We did. We timed the rides. My two little kids rode their first roller coaster, and it was amazing. They did so well, and they were so happy, and it made me so happy. As soon as we got off that ride, it was like, oh, well, it's about lunchtime. Maybe we'll go pick up food. And then we got a message, boom, your food's ready. Got to go sit down. Everything was timed out. And as we were getting food, there were people at the entrance to the restaurants. They're like, why can't I just get something to eat? Like mad, getting all upset at these cast members. And they're like, what do you mean I got to order food on an app? And you're like, what do you mean I can't get it from like an hour from now? And I'm like, yes, that is what I was mitigating. Everybody. There wasn't a single whine the entire day. It was so amazing.
Good.
The kids loved all the rides. I kind of prevented my daughter from going on Tower of Terror. It was toward the end of the day where I was getting really tired. My kids were super cool, even though that they were tired and their feet hurt. I get it. And my daughter still wanted to do it. And I kind of lied to her and told her that they were full.
That's probably not.
Which wasn't a lie. Like the
bad
wait was
idea.
really long and then no one else would be doing anything. We split up into groups so that people could like go do the thing that they wanted to do. And I took some of the kids to go do the thing we wanted to do. Got to fly the Millennium Falcon.
Which was awesome, right?
It was pretty good.
What-
That
what-
ride was really short.
What position were you in the cockpit?
I was in the left seat. My middle son, he's 6, was in the co-pilot seat on the right.
So he got to pull the hyperspace lever.
I went, punch it, buddy! And his arms were too short and he couldn't reach it. And I had to reach up and I had to do it, which was still really fun. But like he was like, it was just out of grasp.
That's funny. That was one of my favorite parts of that whole ride, was pulling that
Yeah.
thing back and just feeling like the... Oh, man.
Yep.
So cool.
It caught him off guard because he's a little kid in like a big, chewy-sized pilot
Yeah,
seat.
he is really small.
And it like, boom, that ride goes. And it's a full axis kind of motion simulator. And so he like grabbed hold of the seat because there wasn't a lot of handles. Or he didn't see a lot of handles. And he's supposed to be flying. And so he's trying to like hold on with his timid, scared self and try to do the up and down motion. And so I was reaching across trying to go up and down because we were just crashing into everything. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you still move through it the
Yeah.
same.
It was really... I remember walking in before we sat down. It was so beautiful. The attention to detail that the Imagineers and the set dressers and everybody did in that whole Galaxy's Edge area was fantastic.
Yeah.
But especially the Millennium Falcon. When you walk in and you see the Dejaric table, you see the padded kind of the cylindrical walkways, the lighting, the mood, everything was like, oh, this is so pretty. I geeked out super hard.
And it's super cool because they push you into the Falcon in a small group or a couple of small groups, and you get to mill around in those areas while you're waiting to actually be put into the cockpit. And so it's not like you're just standing in line looking at the Falcon around you on the other side of a gate. It's like they just push you into the Falcon, and then you get to walk around for a little bit, and you get to actually like go up and feel things and sit at the couch, the curved couch and all that type of stuff.
With COVID,
Oh yeah, I guess I didn't think about
you
that.
have big dots on the ground.
Oh.
And so you're kind of loosely confined to your dot on the ground. And I'm like, I have to go take a picture of the Dejarik table to the cast member. He was like, yeah, that's fine. Go on over there.
Yeah.
And so you don't get the full mill about, like,
Gotcha.
get your full, like, geek out mode, but you're in it and you get the feeling rather than sitting down and doing all the stuff. So it's still kind of reserved. But
hopefully
it lived up to like my expectations. It was super great.
Hopefully they'll open that back up, because that is one of the really cool things about that, just being able to... You're in there with like 2 or 3 other groups. I don't remember how many cockpits there are. And so when I went, it was, another group would be sitting around the couch taking pictures and stuff, and you'd have to wait your turn, but there was enough stuff to do in that little area that you could wait. Wasn't a big deal.
Before you enter the Falcon, you were in a big, long line where you go around the outside of the full-size Millennium Falcon, which was beautiful.
Yeah.
And then you go inside, and then it's like a mechanics kind of area where you hear these 2 people like working on this hyperdrive-looking engine thing, and then, sporadically it goes off. But I was looking at like all the detail that they have in just the little things, the set dressing. And I was so impressed with it all. And I found I put this on Instagram, I found my old toolbox when I was in the Army. That was a piece of set dressing that they had just painted orange, like it was the Army Aviation toolbox. And it was garbage. Everybody hated that toolbox. So it's kind of nice to see that in this space maintenance area, that little personal Easter egg I thought was kind of cool.
That is cool.
But I was trying to find the things. But like so many of those little... greeblies and little pieces are like super unique.
Yeah.
Some of them are like fittings. Some of them look like PVC pipe, but like it was difficult to find something that I could identify as something I would see at like a hardware store. Braided cables, obviously braided cables, but so many of the goofy little spaceship chunks, like nothing other than I think I found a basketball on the side. It was a little orb that had basketball lines because I made a Lord of the Rings shield, and I did the exact same thing, and it looked identical to it. Epoxied over a little kid's basketball for the little thing in the middle. But it was just so much detail.
It could be that a lot of those greeblies throughout that are just a thing where they take an extra part and add to it, or they flip it over, or something like that, to where, with just a little tweaking, like if you could move it around, you could tell what it was.
Yeah.
But they've done just enough to it to kind of mask what it was originally. But yeah, the amount of detail on that ship is incredible. And when you're standing in line, part of it you're underneath the Falcon and you're looking up, and then part of it you're above the Falcon looking down over the back, and so you see that the top back section of it with the big circles vent things on it. And there's so much stuff, different stuff between the underside, the top of it, the perimeter around has that kind of row of things just like stuck to the outside. There's so much to see in that. So you got on Rise of Resistance.
We got on Rise of Resistance. It was amazing.
Does that spatially make any sense to you? Like when you were on it? I think to me that's like part of what made that ride so amazing is it doesn't make sense where all that room is.
I looked at like the street view like maps after the fact so I could see the building on the backside that you don't see while you're in the park. The vertical space that they use while you're in Galaxy's Edge is phenomenal. When you're in the parking lot, you can see that there's like a rock little thing on a big pole. So you're outside of the world, so you can obviously see. But when you're in there, they paint... I was just admiring, because we were standing in line for quite a bit, the spires and the black spire outpost is like the rock outcrops that they add. They paint them lighter colors, and they put them higher, so it appears that they're visually farther away to give that whole area depth and just spatial fullness. So clever.
Called atmospheric perspective.
Okay.
That's an art school thing.
Atmospheric perspective. They did a bang-up job at atmospheric perspective. And I was showing my kids that. And I thought it was so great. But when you get into Rise of Resistance, which was another thing, there were people at the entrance to Rise of Resistance who were super mad that they couldn't get on the ride.
Oh, yeah, that's probably happened since the very beginning.
Yeah, and there were people that couldn't speak English, and this poor cast member had to like translate into their phone that they weren't getting on the ride. And so it was those times where like, I'm sorry that it was contentious in the before planning, but like I was very happy that all of us got to experience that. They took so many elements of so many different rides and put it in one big ride. It was so fantastic. Back to the atmospheric perspective. For Rise of the Resistance, it's very low. Everything is heavily vegetated. You're put in kind of a queue that walks through outcroppings, but you still see the outside. The building that houses the entire ride is almost, I mean, you can't see it. It's completely invisible from where you are in the queue. If you knew nothing about the ride, which my kids kind of didn't, and I don't think my wife did either, the way that like you go into the little shuttle and the shuttle goes off into space, and then you're captured when you come in a door, and it was outside in Disney World. You go out that same door 45 seconds later, and you are in a Star Destroyer.
That blew my mind.
It was, and in like the motion. And I was trying to look, like, from what I know of the ride, from what we talked about, there's a screen on, like, the back of your little pod thing you're in. And you're moving, and you can feel the little thing move. And I'm like, I feel us start to rotate just a little bit. And that motion, the acceleration of that ship is highlighted by the acceleration on the screen in the little world that you're in. Because, like, oh, no, there's TIE fighters coming. So that movie, your body only perceives that motion when your eyes match up with the motion on the screen. And so the whole time you're rotating, but you don't feel that rotation until certain jarring moments when like, oh no, we're hit by like a blaster. And so they're using your proprioceptive system and your visual system kind of against you to trick you. And I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah.
And it was so pretty. I remember just looking at like the giant screen with the TIE fighters and the Star Destroyers. And we had a little bit of time to meander before we got screamed at. I remember my oldest son was looking at one of the First Order angry cast members, and he was like, "You'll never take me alive." And this girl looked at him dead in the face. She goes, "I already have." And I'm like, "Ooh, you just got faced." And the whole thing about like standing in line, just standing on the colors, and like certain people were pretty sassy, and this one person got kind of sassy with my older son because he tried to dish it back to them, and they won. He stood in front of the door, like when you're rescued in the interrogation room. Which, the interrogation area. You're in this little area. Kylo Ren is like, I'm going to make you say the things. And then there's nothing that happens. Like, it's silence because he leaves. The little animatronic thing, like or the screen up at the top, which they project a shadow on the wall, which I thought was an extra special little thing. He's like, oh, we're going to go get him. And then Kylo Ren and Hux, they walk off. And then you're just left there doing nothing. In this uncomfortable silence. And we all just kind of looked around. Like, what do we do now?
That's weird.
Well, you're in jail. Like, that's...
Yeah, but I don't think there was a delay in at that part for us.
Ours, there was a delay, and I think that delay should have been on purpose because I'm in jail now.
Right.
It wasn't like, he said, I'm going to get you bad guys, and then he walks off, and then immediately you're rescued. Like, that timing in the scope of the magical realized world probably wouldn't be as bang bang.
Yeah.
So they added this lull to where you just stand there and you just stare at each other. And then my son starts walking around off of our little colored dot, and I see the wall start glowing, and he didn't see it. I'm like, yo, you got to move. He's like, what? And he turns around and the wall like rips open. He's like, ah! And jumped out of the way. And then you go on through the ride, and it was so cool. And then it drops. I didn't know it dropped, and my wife hates dropping rides. Absolutely hates them. And so you're in this part, and you see all the escape pod little thingies in the big screen like falling off of the Star Destroyer. And I'm like, oh boy, we're gonna drop.
Here it comes.
And then we dropped, and they all freaked out, and it was so good.
It is a really, really excellent ride, and I mean, I think people, even who are not Star Wars fans, would appreciate it if they could. Like, it's so much effort to get to the ride if you're not a fan of it that I can see why somebody wouldn't want to just, if they're not into Star Wars, they're like, why would I go to that effort? But it is pretty incredible.
And I appreciate Disney not pushing people through that ride. Like, the ride takes as long as the ride takes. I get that. But, like, the little lulls or the time where you can stop for a second and look around at the set and honestly believe. My kids still don't know how it all happened. Mm-hmm. My daughter was losing her mind. It was so adorable. And I'm like, we didn't have that on the Millennium Falcon once the ride started because it was so fast. You don't have that on Star Tours because it's so fast.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that queue system for, like, as annoying as it was. And I'm sure I happened to be fortunate enough to get a boarding group that day. But I'm glad they do it the way they do for the people who get a boarding group to have the experience that they had. Because they could very easily make that experience faster and quicker and just push people through and go, haha, you enjoyed Star Wars. Thanks, move along.
Yeah.
But they don't. And I think it adds to the quality. It adds to, like, the excitement that I have that I'm hoping to convey to everybody else so that you can try your hand at getting the boarding group. We looked at the Disney Food Blog, has a YouTube channel. It has tons of amazing Disney-related content. So before we went, I kind of knew how to do it and what to do. And then while we were in St. Thomas the day before we were going to get there, I practiced to see what it looked like just to make sure I was ready to go. And it paid off. We had a stellar time.
Good.
I got my lightsaber I bought down there. It was delivered yesterday.
Oh, nice.
So I have Anakin's original lightsaber and I have Luke's lightsaber now.
Cool. Yeah, that store where you get the lightsabers, you had a lot more time to, I think, look around than I did, it sounds like.
Well, it's different now.
You had to stand in a place.
So
the way... totally packed when I was there.
If you want to buy one of the Legacy lightsabers at Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities, there's a line just to go around the shop, because the shop's not that big. But if you want a lightsaber, you have to go up to Doc Ondar's, find a cast member. You scan a QR code on a sign outside. You enter your phone number and your name or whatever, and then it tells you how many people are ahead of you. And so at the time when I signed up, we had like 30 people ahead of us. And we had the Rise of Resistance time that was like spaced well enough apart. So that, again, all kind of very efficiently flowed. And I put all 7 of us that were on a group. I'm like, I got 7 people. And then I would get text message. You're the next person in line. Or like, oh, now go meet the cast member. And talk to the lady. Stood in line for about 5 minutes. And then you kind of leapfrog from like stand here, stickers on the ground. So as soon as somebody is done at the counter, someone else progresses. And then everybody else can just walk around the store. My kids spent their $50.
How did you end up doing that? Did you just set aside like a certain amount for each one of them to spend?
We had it on a budget. We have a budget app for different things. My Blow money, gas money, grocery money that we just deduct from a number that we add in. It's the Every Dollar app, Dave Ramsey's. I think it's Every Dollar. Yeah. So we just like added the kids' names and put $50 on there. And then we told them before we left to go to St. Thomas, they're like, when we get back, if we get a good report that you guys have been caring and kind and loving and not freaking out, then you guys can get $50. And they were like, what? That's crazy. And when we went there, they wanted to like automatically spend their money like while we were in line at Slinky Dog thing on like a bucket of Green Army men. I'm like, there's a lot to see. You haven't seen anything Star Wars related, so just chill. But yeah, they were all happy. It was an amazing day.
Good.
And it all worked out. And I'm very happy, despite the contentiousness that it brought up earlier on. I am very happy that we did it the way that we did it. Because I think we won Star Wars there. No, I think we won Disney that day.
We won vacation.
Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Well, I have a couple things to show off here. Got some new Lego sets here.
Got all the new Lego sets.
Check this out. This is the Imperial probe droid. It's weird because it has different languages on different sides of the box. And I knew what it was called, but I looked at it and it said Droidi Sonda Imperiale or something. I don't know what that says.
You got the Spanish one.
Yeah. But man, what a cool set. Like, I love this droid. And
yeah.
And it also, on the actual card for it says Viper probe droid, which I've never heard it called a Viper. I've heard it called a Probot before and a probe droid. But apparently it's the Viper. And I also have the Scout Trooper helmet.
Scout Trooper's the coolest one.
Yeah, pretty excited about that.
We passed by this random rack, like an enclosed rack, but like a mesh grate when we were over by like the Blue Milk kind of area. Mm-hmm. That just had a whole bunch of like cool helmets and weapons and stuff in it. And I stopped and like took a bunch of pictures.
Yeah.
All of the different ride queues had like helmets that they had taken out of the Star Wars universe. And I eventually want to make my own helmet. So I was taking a bunch of reference pictures as to like what people had done. They had a couple Scout Trooper helmets just randomly around.
Like, yeah. They're super cool.
I want one of those.
I actually saw this set at Target yesterday, which I was surprised that
Yeah, so did I.
It's already out. And then in...
The probe droid was there too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wanted to buy it. I don't have any.
In the Lego aisle, not like where the Star Wars stuff is, but all the superhero stuff down at the end, they also had the Batman helmet and Carnage and Venom. See, I think all three of those look stupid. I'm just going to say that. I think they're terrible models. I wouldn't pay for them because I looked at them and I picked them up and I put them back. I don't like them. That brings another point. I have been thinking more and more about doing a YouTube channel of like Lego reviews or toy reviews or something around toys. Like there's so many collectible things that I enjoy. And I don't know, maybe I should just keep that for myself. But then I also think like, I know there's other people that enjoy that stuff as well. Should I do like reviews or just walkthroughs of them, or not to like turn it into a business or anything, but like
a passion project?
Yeah. I don't know. But every time I get something like this, I'm like, oh yeah, that would be a cool thing just to show people maybe who don't know if it's worthwhile or don't want to spend the money on it or whatever. You still want to see it.
Obviously, there's some type of audience for it.
Maybe. He's pointing at the camera for people listening. Yeah. So anyway, I got new sets that are in the queue after this Blacksmith set.
Are stocked over there.
Yeah. And I still have like several models over there that I haven't started on because I need to paint them. And...
Well, this Ecto 1 is going to take me about a year.
Nah, it won't take that long.
I'm about halfway through the book, and it's been an awful long time.
I'm on bag 2 for today. So I'm moving ahead on this thing. But I think it's got like 14 bags, so that's enough time left.
It's got a lot of bags.
We have some pros and cons.
We do. Anthony, do you have them, or I can pull them up on my phone? Okay. Hopefully you guys heard Anthony's voice last episode. Because Anthony talks to us sometimes, especially when we're doing pros and cons, and I think his microphone was picked up. So if you hear like, oh, there's a random voice, it's Anthony's random voice.
Hi.
I think you should talk in a much higher pitched voice so that it can differentiate your voice from ours.
Okay, there's probably no need to do that.
Yeah, I think that's good. Or like a British accent.
I'm not even going to try that. We're public. People can hear me. All right. So we got a few suggestions today. If you're not already a part of the Maker Alliance, this is one of the benefits. We'll sometimes ask you guys for pros and cons on Discord.
I asked very quickly.
Yes.
And our Maker Alliance members on Discord stepped up very quickly.
They respond very quickly.
And we don't exclusively ask for them on Discord, but
I do when I'm lazy, and I forget.
So let's start off with minimalist wallets. That's a good one.
I have a minimalist wallet.
So that term, I think, means different things to different people.
Okay.
Because, so this is the one that I made, and it was based off one that was marketed as a minimalist wallet, but it still has a lot of stuff. But then I've seen other things that are marketed as minimalist that are like a single sleeve for, 2 cards and a single piece of cash. So I think, I'm all for something like this, but to get thinner than this where you can only carry one thing, sure, if that works for you, great. But like I couldn't go down past this, I don't think, to anything smaller. Not that I wouldn't want to, but
So you built your minimalist wallet. I have one from Nomadic, I believe is the company. Mm-hmm. And
cool stuff.
I super love it. I think maybe if we would have to give like a dimension, like everything above blank doesn't count anymore.
Well, I wonder if because everybody has different definitions for it, I wonder if that means a single piece like this one that I have, or versus a bifold or a trifold.
Yeah.
I
would say that mine is a minimalist wallet. It has like stuff that you can pull out one side and the other side, but it's probably no thicker than a half inch, a little over centimeter and a half, maybe. I would say.
Yeah, so I guess it depends on whether you're thinking overall thickness is the minimal thing, or how many pieces it can hold, or whatever. But
I downgraded from a regular. I was a trifold wallet before, like compared to a bifold. So I had a trifold wallet. I didn't keep a lot of stuff because I don't like to have a lot of clutter, but it hurt my butt.
Yeah.
And then the idea of getting a minimal wallet, and now I carry it in my front pocket, where before I never did because I don't like to have a lot of bulky things in my pockets.
Yeah.
But so that's where I consider it minimal.
I think that was the thing for me. My back was hurting a lot, and I had a bifold wallet for years and years and years, and I ended up putting that in my front pocket to see if that was part of what was causing my back, and it was. And then having that big thing in my front pocket was always kind of a chore. I'm like, well, I just got to cut this down and make something a little bit thinner. So I went to a single kind of flat piece that I'd purchased somewhere, and then I've had a couple different iterations that I've made since then. But I would suggest, if you carry a wallet in your back pocket, to not carry a wallet in your back pocket. That was I don't know when it started happening. I guess I just hit some age where my back just didn't like to be, or maybe it was a certain time in my life I was sitting down more than I typically do or something. I don't know. But put it in your front pocket. Safer too.
I kind of like it in my front pocket. I didn't think I would because I don't like bulky keys.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I have a thing about my jeans. I don't want there to obviously be anything that I can feel like on my leg, like a protuberance in my pockets. I don't like it.
I actually like being able to feel the things in my front pockets without having to touch them. Like, just sitting here, I can feel, well, my phone's not in my pocket, but I could feel where my phone is. I can feel my wallet. I can feel my multi-tool, and I know my keys are on my hip. And so I know where everything is, even without, like, actively going to look for it.
Yeah.
And I guess the same thing would work in your back pocket, too, but, you know. I keep, do you keep anything in your back pocket at all?
Not anymore.
So I had this weird system that just I ended up with. I didn't mean for it to be this way. But business receipts always go in my back left pocket.
Oh, yeah. I guess I do that too.
Personal receipts go in back right.
Oh, I don't split them up like that, but yeah.
And then usually all the personal receipts just go in the trash can when I get to a trash can. But the ones in the business ones stay there until I'm at my desk at some point, and I have a little like, I don't know what you call it. It's like a plastic envelope system with like different dividers, and I have a month. So I always just grab all the business receipts out of my pocket and stick it in the relevant month. So at the end of the year, I have one container of all the business receipts broken up by month. So if I look for something, I can kind of narrow down where to put it or where to find it. I don't know when that happened. I just started doing that, and so now it's just this thing. Anytime I change pants, which I mean I wear jeans longer than I should probably, but anytime I change pants, I always that's one of my things is back left pocket. Got to move that to the back left pocket of the new pants. You know,
it's your filing system.
Yeah, pretty much, and it works. All right, what do we got?
Next one, outlet malls.
I really like outlet malls.
Does anybody not like outlet malls?
Outlet malls are great.
I
mean, people that like to stay abreast of the current fashions maybe don't like outlet malls because you get like last season stuff. But as someone who grew up without a lot of money, the only reason I didn't wear Bobo Walmart shoes was because of the Converse outlet in, I think that one was in Fort Walton, not the one in Sandestin, if people go to Destin. And it was a way to I don't know, clothes and things like that in middle school were always the thing to get picked on for. And Converse from the Converse outlet was the most accessible way to get over that barrier to not be made fun of because you didn't have the fanciest, newest shoes. So I am all for outlet malls.
Yeah, I don't know that I would have thought of it from getting made fun of or whatever, but just me not wanting to, and I guess I'm thinking of as an adult because we didn't really have outlet malls near us growing up. But I don't want to spend a lot of money on a new pair of Vans because I understand what Vans are and how long they're actually going to last.
Yeah.
But if I can spend $30 on a pair of Vans, I would do that and wear those. So the same kind of thing. But I think they're closer to actual value at an outlet mall. Shoes specifically, because I think that's probably the only thing. Although in St. Augustine, there's an outlet mall.
There is.
And at one point they had a Coleman store, and it was all camping gear. And it was pretty cool. I bought a big frame pack there one time for no money at all. I used it a few times and let somebody borrow it, and then it disappeared. But I didn't feel bad about that because I didn't spend a lot of money on it. But so like a specialty store like that, like I've never seen a Coleman store anywhere else. So
Yeah.
that's kind of cool, you know.
Rain jacket I got from the Columbia outlet.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like,
Yeah.
it probably cost $100 less there than it would have anywhere else.
My La Crusette Dutch oven, like, it's a French cookware, and I bought it at the outlet mall in Destin, and I love that thing. And ironically, when we lived in Belgium, the La Crusette like factory, which also had an outlet attached to it, was like 40 minutes from our house, and I didn't know anything about La Crusette stuff at the time. But one of the guys I worked with did, and bought almost all of his cookware. And it's incredibly expensive and very heavy, and he loved it. And I remember like he bought so much of it that his cabinet couldn't hold it, and a pan slid out and broke his front tooth because he got nailed in the mouth by a La Crusette frying pan.
Wow.
But like that stuff is incredibly expensive because it's quality items.
Yeah.
But they're colorful. And so at the outlet malls, you get like the out of season colors or the colors that didn't really sell.
And that's probably the only difference.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally the only difference.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, I can't cook my sweet potato chili in an off-brand.
It's last season's color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like my cast iron to be whatever teal from the 2020 collection. Sure. It works awesome and it cooks my food.
Yeah.
And I feel fancy.
It's going to end up being a different color in a few years anyway, so don't worry about it.
But I think that's me in general. Like, I want the least barriers I can have to something that is kind of quality. So I am the outlet mall's prime customer. I don't care about the latest trends, but I do want a nice thing, and I don't want to pay a bunch of money for it. So, whoop, that's me.
Yeah, I agree.
End the day on a pretzel like Coach talks about in New Girl. Make a whole day of it.
That's true. Yep. I'm a pro for what are we talking
There's
about?
outlet malls around here
I couldn't think of the word.
that I haven't been to. And I think I haven't been to them because all the stuff I would get at outlet mall, I already have from a different outlet mall.
That's probably true. Yeah, it's not a place I would need to go very often,
No.
I think. But I do know in the past few years, if I've driven, I mean, it's been a long time since I've driven a long distance by myself, but I used to drive from Kentucky to Savannah a few times, you know, over a couple of years. I'd go a couple of times by myself. And there was one in Tennessee or North Georgia or something. And it was like a good place to take a break.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would always pull off there. And, you know, one time it's like a Converse store. The next time it's a Nike one. Next time there's like some tool store. You know, and it's like a place to go in and like, I don't really need anything, but man, all these tools are like half price. Like, why not pick up something? Or I don't really need running shorts, but I will in a couple of years. So I'll go ahead and buy these half price running shorts. And so.
I would advise anyone listening or watching that if you have an outlet mall near you to check, because apparently the one in Louisville has a Rigid and Ryobi outlet mall. Which
Yeah, there's
I
one
did
in-
not know that was even a thing.
One in North
I
Georgia has that
envisioned
too.
like old, out-of-date clothes. I didn't think tools would be out of date. I haven't been there, but apparently people said that they've got really nice stuff. So check your outlet malls and see if you can get tool discounts.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to a couple of those. There's one in North Georgia that I think is a Ryobi outlet. Only, maybe. I don't remember. And then there was one recently that had a bunch of different brands. And, you know, it's not like as complete as a tool store that you would go to that's not an outlet mall. But, you know, if you need like a compressor or... It's like going to Harbor Freight. Like, you're not going to buy everything there, but there might be something that you have avoided buying because it was expensive and you can get it cheap. So, all right, what else we got?
We've got daylight savings.
You know, I don't really care. I just wish they'd pick one. I mean,
Pick
like,
one and shut up about
yeah,
it.
let's just pick one thing. Would you rather have the extra hour of daylight?
I honestly don't care. I don't notice. I mean, it's summertime. It stays darker longer. And if you're just trying to manipulate that, or stays brighter longer, sorry. That's not the same everywhere you go.
That's true.
So I think trying to manipulate the time to try to make people more productive because the sun is up, but then you're going to make it early. I get leap years. Leap years make absolute mathematical sense. This is some weird, I'm imagining U.S., but like U.S. thing that's like based on a feeling, and they're trying to mend like, oh, this is a good idea for this non-scientific reason. Let's try to make it science.
Well, no, I don't think it's a scientific thing. I think traditionally it was a farming thing. And so, like, if you have an extra hour of daylight, then you have more time to actually handle the stuff on the farm than you would. I think that's where it came from.
I think so too, but that's where an acre came from. But that's a unit of measure, and an acre is the amount of space that a person could harvest in a day. That's what an acre is. Everywhere else uses a hectare, which is an actual unit of measure. Which I get back to my point, like the U.S. thing, like, oh, well, then if we extend the daylight, maybe they can farm more stuff, which means now our acre is bigger, which is just stupid. It's convoluted. They're trying to create scientific reasoning for a thing, I think, based on a public feeling. So for that, I don't like it. Let the sun set when it sets. Don't make me change my clock.
It doesn't actually change when the sun sets, just so you know that.
Noted. What's next?
I think I would, if I had to choose, I think, honestly, I would rather the sun go down earlier. If I had to pick between those two options. Part of that is because I like to watch TV at night. And if the sun is up, then my kids stay up later. And it's not that I want my kids to go to bed earlier, but, like, we end up doing more things out later. And then there's less time for us as a family to, like, be in a, I don't know.
We eat dinner a lot later, and it affects that bedtimes and stuff. I get that.
Yeah. Anyway.
By the way, those last couple of suggestions were from Dave and Justin.
Thanks, Dave and Justin.
Thanks, Dave.
And
both
now,
gentlemen,
this suggestion is from Eugene, and the suggestion is golf.
So I'm about to lose friends.
Well, goodbye, friends.
Goodbye, friends. No, I don't get golf. I don't get sports. I mean, to be honest, it's not my thing. That said, I've really enjoyed watching my kids play soccer again this season. So, like, but that's only because they're my kids. If I was just, like, forced to watch other kids play soccer, like, I don't know. To golf, I don't get it, but I've never played it.
Okay.
Maybe that's it. But it seems like a way to spend time, just like many other things in this world. I have a personal, like, I would rather be doing this instead of whatever golf is supposed to do for you. But that's from a complete lack of ever having done it. I don't know the feeling that it gives you. I don't know the relaxation. I don't know any of the stuff around it. So I have no experience, so I probably should just shut my mouth about it. Okay, go.
I think I'll speak to that. Let me see, before I get to whether I like it or not, Anthony and I are supposed to go play golf tomorrow, which I'm excited about. I'm not good at golf. I took one beginning golf class in college, which I think we talked about on here as a throwaway class. We only hit with one type of golf club, so I don't know how to drive the ball far. I can't hit with that club. So golf, to me, there's a mixture from people that I know that really like golf. It's getting out, being in nature in a more low-key setting where you can still play sports. You can still exercise skills. There is a little bit of exclusivity to it because there is usually a higher price point. You can't just, like, kick a ball. You have to invest to be able to play golf. So in the whole realm of sports, there is an air of highbrowness to it. And when I was in college to be an engineer, it was like, you should learn how to play golf because this is a thing. It's like part of the brotherhoody kind of, like, you learn how to play golf. You wear bow ties on Tuesday. You have to get a certificate so that you can feel a little more accomplished than other people. And yeah, totally, all day long. But it's not easy. And as someone that, since I have refound my faith later in life, I find makes me curse so much. So much. Because you can literally see the money that you have absolutely wasted if you're not good at it.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, we lived kind of decent ways away from a golf course, but, like, enough to where, like, my friend and I could walk, and he was really good. And they had a thing that if you were, like, 12 and under, it only cost you, like, $5 to play 18 holes. And so my entire time in high school, I was 12 years old. And or when the person got wise to it, we would just sneak onto the golf course over by our friend's house. So I would play with him, and I wasn't great. I didn't know what I was doing. But then, like, to get a ball if you like playing soccer, right? How many soccer balls do you own?
God.
Like maybe a bunch, right?
Like 10?
But you have a bunch of kids. If
Right.
you wanted to play soccer, you would need a soccer ball.
Yeah.
To play golf, you need a bunch of golf balls.
That might be part of my hesitation is the investment.
It's a lot of constant investment. And so like we will go to the driving range, which I think is fun. You can practice. You can put a little token in a thingy. It gives you a basket of like tons of them. The bounty that comes out of there. And sometimes they'll have little red stripes on them, which again is like a snobby kind of way of like, you can't take our driving range balls, you poor person, and play on our golf course. But I totally would. And I would take those because I would lose their balls. I'm not going to pay a whole bunch of money for a sleeve of golf balls and know that I'm going to lose them by like the second hole. And then it just adds to the cursing. And so it's a lot of cursing. And then one time I hit a ball decent and I'm like, God, finally. So people experience a lot of peace and a lot of calm because it's this outdoor walking. You can walk, you can get a golf cart, which is kind of fun. But to me, I like the idea of being good at golf. I'm not good at it. And so we're going to go play like a par 3 course. Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to play a par 3 course, which is better because it's shorter and I don't have to drive the ball. So hopefully I will perform better, which will lead to less cursing, which will lead to a better testimony.
Huh.
Yeah. I cannot play golf with anybody I am trying to impress or
minister to.
Yeah. I think Anthony and I are in the realm of like Christians who curse sometimes. I will put myself in that category. I try my best not to, but golf. Oh my goodness. Golf, there's the devil's on my shoulder when we're playing golf. And it's like, how much did you pay for that ball? A lot, I bet. It just bloop right into the water. Oh, you want to knuckle that thing? It's going to roll 2 feet in front of you? There you go. Someone's going to tell you that you don't have the right kind of shoes? Oh, that beer you put in your bag, somebody's going to give you crap about that. And then they're going to try to sell you a $12 beer when you're halfway through. So.
You're really selling it for me.
No.
I totally want to go play golf now.
And it's funny because I think the people that made mini golf were like the ultimate like bird flippers to the golf courses of the world. They're like, oh yeah, you're going to make me feel poor and make me feel outcast that I'm not so fancy enough to go to your country club. I'm literally going to take the game that you like. The part of the game that is the most delicate, that adds the most finesse, the putting. Ooh, don't stand in my shadow. Don't do the thing. Don't walk in this area. I'm literally going to put a clown on it.
Well, and also they're like, oh yeah, somebody can walk in with nothing, with no experience, and $5, and play 18 holes. Granted, they're shorter, and they use one putter. Like all of the barriers are taken away.
Yep, and now they're professional miniature golfers.
Yep.
So, I like the idea of I really like sports. I'm very competitive. Golf is one of those ones if someone's like, oh, you want to play golf? And I'm like, curse words, I'm preloading. I got rid of my golf clubs a long time ago. And even then, when I did, I got them from Target. And then I played golf with some people, and they were throwing shade at me because I had Target golf clubs. And so there's this like, yo, I shop at outlet malls, but I'm here now. So how about let's just do this and listen to me scream and curse while you have a good time.
It'll be fun for you.
Golf.
To watch me be frustrated.
Yeah. Well, like there's people that watch golf.
Oh, yeah.
That seems more boring than watching baseball. And I love playing baseball, but watching baseball is not easy. Watching golf in my mind? Ooh.
I went to a Braves game one time. I got invited by some friends in Atlanta. What a waste of a night. Oh, my goodness. I know people love baseball. Great. Awesome. People love basketball and football, and I wouldn't actively go sit and watch any of them because that's just me. But, like, baseball especially. Wow.
It is so long. I like watching baseball highlights. I would like somebody to curate all of those hours of baseball footage and find me the 4 little gems in a season.
So, to golf, like I said, I have no experience to even...
You want to come play with us?
Really? No, I don't.
It's going to be fun.
I'm sure it will be. And that's great. I mean, I don't mean that in a negative way. Like, that's just not a way I want to spend my time. And I get that being with the people doing the thing is the important part there. I get that. Actually, tomorrow we have soccer games all day long, so I can't.
It's like hiking that you get to hit stuff.
Well, okay, so for me, that would be the, like, an unnecessarily frustrating part to add to hiking.
Yep.
But I would rather just go hiking.
Yeah.
See what I mean? So, like, I'm not a competitive person, so that there's not a draw to, some people just like the back and forth of competition, and I don't really. So that would be more of a negative than a positive in my book. But
Robin Williams has a really fun skit where he talks about golf and like the inventors of golf in Scotland about how
I've seen that.
yeah, it's if you haven't seen it, look that up. It's quite fun, and that encapsulates golf.
Yeah.
But then you add a sailor's worth of curse words, and then that's playing golf with me.
All right, what else we got? We're probably running long.
We're at 55 minutes.
Let's do one more.
One more. Self-serve checkout systems.
Awesome.
The most pro.
Yep.
And the highest order pro.
Cool. All right, see you guys next time. Yeah, seriously, I don't know. I saw recently somewhere somebody was posting, I think it was on Facebook or something. They were talking about how their Walmart had just gotten rid of all regular lanes, and the entire front of the store was now self-checkout.
I imagine that is every Walmart currently.
Well,
They may have one person working there.
yeah, I'm not saying those lanes are open, but they don't
Yeah.
have them, all the way across the store.
They just stopped kidding themselves.
I had to go to Walmart yesterday. Man,
You survived.
ugh. I really don't like it. And I want to not, it's just a store. Like, I don't want to be the person that just hates a store because it's a store or because of, certain situation or certain experience or whatever. But, like, I don't know, there's something about that place.
Yeah.
Every time
They don't
I
treat
go
their people
in and
well,
it's like,
it-
okay, and like I get the thing I need and whatever, and I don't have a bad experience. But then I walk out and I'm just like, ugh.
Our Walmart's particularly bad.
Everybody says that.
Yeah.
That is a sentiment that I have rarely, if ever, heard somebody go, I really like our Walmart. No, you don't. Because the people that work at that Walmart don't like that Walmart. And it shows
I should take you to the Walmart I grew up with.
in fairy tale land.
Anyway.
Self-checkout all day.
Yes.
I cannot stand making chit-chat or idle speak just to fill time like I'm doing right now. But like with strangers, I just want to get in and get out. I have a purpose. This silly little interaction, and then you're like, beep, beep. And then you added one item in one bag. Beep, beep. A pack of gum in one bag. And I'm like, argh! Everything about that is inefficient. I can do it myself. Okay, bye.
Now, the one place that I think it actually kind of works, and I'm not sure why this is, but Aldi seems different.
Aldi, those ladies at Aldi know what's up.
They
They
don't wanna-
want you gone and
Yeah.
with a smile on their face.
Maybe that's what it is. They don't want to talk to you. They don't
Yep.
really want to get to know you. They're just like, I want to move you through as quickly as possible.
Yep.
I don't care if you don't have a bag to hold the things that you walk through the store, and, whatever.
I'm throwing
Like-
everything in that cart. You do with it what you will.
Yeah. You can't take this cart because you didn't bring one. So
Move
on.
along.
And that's great. Like, I can be polite. I can say hi. They can say hi. One of them complimented my shoes one time. That was nice.
Aw.
But like, other than that, like, they don't feel the need to interact. And I think that's okay. Like if somebody wants to talk to them, I'm sure they would. But it's not like a falsified, like, hey buddy, how
Yeah.
you doing?
I could see where some people would say that it's like a degradation of our society because you don't want to have this cute little like fun community interaction with the lady at the grocery store. I find it horribly inefficient and a waste of both of our time. And just like you're saying, it is surface level nonsense that I'm not forming a real relationship anyway. So if we could just get to getting, that'd be great. Because I don't want to be in here. You don't look like you want to be in here either.
Well, and that could be part of it. Like the attitude of someone at a cash register. If they have a good attitude, I don't mind talking to strangers that I don't know that are, like, are making an effort to be like a person to another person. Like, sure, that's great. We don't have to get to know each other, but like being polite and that's cool. Like, I don't want to just be in silence all the time. But I think the problem comes in when you have people who don't really want to be working the job in the first place, and they're stuck there feeling like they need to talk to people because it's part of the job. But they're like, you found everything you need.
Kroger has a thing on the wall now, for like a compliment tracking chart. Yeah. And so like
for the people working?
yeah, it's like there's Gail and Brittany and how many like have a good days or like little things. It's like a progress tracking chart. And I remember it made me think of like Sunday school or like in the first grade, like they get a gold star just for feigning politeness to people, or whether they're naturally polite, then great. But I remember looking at that, I'm like, that's a lot of effort to convince a human to be, because you're tracking it, it's like performance-based kind to someone.
Right.
And I'm like, you could just not be here, and then you don't need that chart, and then you don't need that incentive. I'm all for people having jobs, but the robot doesn't need to say thank you to me. The robot doesn't need to ask me how my day is. I just need to buy this cup of noodles, and I need to get on my way. And I bought some beer the other day, and it like stopped, and I'm like, ugh. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I have to prove that I'm of legal age to buy this. And the girl was like having a conversation with somebody. I'm like, that's a good thing for society, but that's not why I'm on this side of the store. That's for that side of the store. This is the I need to get my stuff. You hurry up and punch in your little thingy, or I can scan my ID. I don't know. This is the efficient side. Let's be efficient, please. I need someone's help if I want to scan coupons. Why?
Yeah.
It's a robot. I give the robot the coupon. It has a barcode on it. I love human beings. I love people. I don't want to dehumanize another person, but at the same time, there's no need for human interaction in this. There's not an attendant at a vending machine asking me if I'm satisfied with my purchase. There's an understanding there. And my understanding is that I don't need to speak to a cashier.
Yeah, I just think it makes things faster and easier. And I think having both options in most stores, like I think any store that goes to all cashier lists is probably not a great situation, because sometimes people do need help. Sometimes people really do like to be in that situation of being the cashier and interacting with people. Mm-hmm. So I think having both of them is good for different reasons. But I think the self-checkout thing should be like the default. You know, I mean, it was an add-on. But I think now we're at a point where it should be the majority. And maybe there's one or two cashier lanes for most stores. Except for Walmart. Like, what's the point? Let's just make them all.
Yeah, I don't look to the cashiers as like my social interaction with people. I have that unique, individualized personal experience with friends and with family and neighbors. And I guess maybe that's some level, like, it's removing a neighbor in my neighborhood, in my community or whatever, but... I look at the grocery store as a vending machine.
Right, but to be honest, there are probably a lot of people who that is their only interaction with people.
Understood.
And so, you know, I think there's a lot of value in having that available. But like I was mentioning before, like it should be a certain person that works in that position, because I think a lot of people end up
if their personality is suited for it.
Right. Yeah. If they don't want to be there in the first place, then what's the point of trying to interact with people? But anyway, now you know our thoughts on that thing that we talked about for a long time. Big thanks to everybody who is listening and watching. Glad you're here. Thank you. Glad we have been able to record again. Took another week off, but we've had several shows kind of in a row, so you know that's cool. Big thanks to our Maker Alliance for supporting this show and all the other stuff that we do. Like we said, the Discord server, Maker Alliance only, and lots of conversation happening over there. We often ask them for feedback on things, and they get to see videos early, and they get discount codes, and they get a bunch of different stuff. They get to give us pros and cons. So if you want to join that crew, go to iliketomakestuff.com/join. That'd be awesome.
It would be. And it'd be good for you, honestly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really cool people, and they're doing a lot of really good stuff. Yes, it benefits us. I mean, put the cards on the table. But there's a lot of really good people doing a lot of really good things over there.
Yeah.
And I appreciate them.
Yep. Where can people find you?
Mostly on Instagram at Josh_MakeStuff.
You can find all of us at I Like to Make Stuff on all the stuff. I missed putting on a piece, and now it's going to be really difficult to put on.
No.
Dang it.
I spoke a lot this episode, which means I got halfway through a bag.
I did 2 bags.
And I have to go get my second COVID shot soon, so I can't finish this bag.
Oh, yeah. I got mine yesterday.
Can you leap tall bounds?
Yeah, man. I feel great. Not even sore.
Oh, really?
Maybe just barely, but not even as much as the first time. Cool. Thanks for listening, watching. We'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.